"I know you're strong enough," says 8-year-old boy to elderly man in wheelchair, and then this happens. Professor Robert Johnson pushed his wheelchair through Liberty Square Park with the same weariness as always. For 2 years, he had felt no hope that anything could change in his life, not since discovering his only daughter had vanished without a trace. That's when he sensed a presence beside him. Her brown-haired boy in a red shirt kept pace with him, staring directly at him with a confidence that left Robert bewildered. "You're the teacher who used to teach at my cousin's school, right?" the boy asked. Robert stopped his chair and looked at the child. He couldn't have been more than 8, but there was something striking in his eyes. "Yes, I used to teach PE, but that was a long time ago, kid. My name's Ethan, and I know you're strong enough to walk again." The words struck like lightning. Robert felt a mix of anger and sorrow. How could this boy say something like that? He had no idea what he'd been through. "Listen here, kid. You don't know anything about my situation. You'd better go play with kids your own age." But Ethan didn't back down. He stood there, arms crossed, staring firmly at the professor. "I do know. My mom, Sarah, works at the health clinic. She told me you stopped walking not because of an illness, but because you got too sad when your daughter left." Robert's chest tightened. How did this child know such intimate details about his life? "So, what if you know? That doesn't change anything." "Yes, it does. Because if you stopped walking from sadness, you can start again when you find strength, and I'm going to help you find it." The professor glanced around. A few passers-by in the park watched the exchange with curiosity. He felt exposed and vulnerable. "You're just a kid. You don't understand how life works." "I understand more than you think," Ethan replied, with a seriousness beyond his years. "My dad left when I was 5. My mom cried so much she got sick, almost stopped working, but I helped her get strong again." Something stirred inside Robert. He hadn't expected to hear that. "How'd you do it?" "Every day, I told her she was brave. Every day, I showed her she could do things. And one day, she believed me." The boy stepped closer to the wheelchair. "You'll believe me too, I know you will." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers. Now, back to the story. Robert went home that afternoon with his mind in turmoil. His wife, Linda, noticed the shift in his expression right away. "Did something happen at the park?" she asked as she prepared dinner. "A kid came up to me, said I could walk again." Linda stopped what she was doing. For 2 years, she'd tried everything to pull her husband out of his depression: doctors, therapists, physical rehab. Nothing had worked. "What did you say?" "That he didn't know anything." But? "I don't know, Linda. There was something different about that boy. He knew things about our family he shouldn't have." Linda sat beside her husband. "Robert, you know I'll support anything that might help you. If that child planted a seed of hope in you, maybe we should give it a chance." "You think so?" "I think we've got nothing to lose." The next morning, Robert returned to the park earlier than usual. He wouldn't admit it to himself, but he was hoping to see Ethan again. It didn't take long for the boy to appear, this time carrying a small backpack. "I knew you'd come back," said Ethan, smiling. "That doesn't mean I believe you." "You don't have to believe me yet. You just have to let me try." Ethan opened his backpack and pulled out a few objects: a small ball, colorful rubber bands, and 2 water bottles. "What's this?" "Physical therapy equipment. My mum explained how it works when I asked about you." Robert looked at the simple object skeptically. "This isn't physical therapy equipment. These are toys." "What matters isn't what we use, but how we use it," Ethan replied, with a wisdom that surprised the professor. The boy knelt in front of the chair. "Let's start slow. Can you try moving your feet?" "Ethan, I've tried this thousands of times. It doesn't work." "But you've never tried it with me here." There was something in the boy's voice that made Robert feel safe. Reluctantly, he looked at his feet and tried to move them. Nothing. "See, I told you. Don't give up yet. Try thinking of something good. A memory that makes you happy." Robert closed his eyes. The first image that came to mind was his daughter Emily at 7 years old, running through that same park while he playfully chased her. She laughed so much. "Now try again," Ethan whispered. Robert focused on the memory and tried to move his right foot. To his surprise, he felt something. A small movement, almost imperceptible, but it was there. "I saw it," Ethan shouted, jumping for joy. "You moved your big toe." Robert stared at his foot in shock. It had indeed moved a little. How is this possible?" "Because you're stronger than you think. You just needed to remember that." In the days that followed, Ethan showed up religiously at the park. He brought new, simple exercises, always with his improvised materials. Linda started joining the sessions and was amazed to see her husband's small improvements. "That boy has a gift," she remarked one afternoon as she watched Ethan teach Robert how to use the rubber bands to strengthen his leg muscles. "It's not a gift, Mrs. Linda," Ethan replied. "It's love. When you truly love someone, you find a way to help." The words touched the woman's heart deeply. It had been years since she'd seen her husband so determined. But not everything was easy. The neighbors began commenting on the situation. Some found it strange for a child to take on the role of a therapist. Others whispered that it was dangerous to give false hope. "You shouldn't let that boy fill Robert's head with illusions," said Mrs. Dorothy, their longtime neighbor. "It might make things worse for him later." Linda felt a pang of doubt, but when she saw the spark in her husband's eyes during the exercises, she knew they were on the right path. The situation grew more complicated when Dr. William, the family physician for decades, found out what was happening. "Linda, we need to talk about this," he said during an appointment. "I'm not against alternative methods, but setting unrealistic expectations could be very harmful to Robert's mental health." "But doctor, he's improving. The movements in his legs are getting stronger." "It might just be muscle spasms. I don't want to crush your hope, but it's important to stay grounded." Robert, who had been listening, felt his spirits sink. "Maybe the doctor's right, Linda. Maybe I'm fooling myself." "No, Robert, you can't give up now. What if I'm just wasting time? What if I never walk again for real?" That night, Robert barely slept. The doctor's words echoed in his mind, mixed with the doubts he'd always carried. The next day, when Ethan arrived at the park, he found the professor downcast. "What happened? You seem different today." "Ethan, I think we should stop this." "Why?" "Because maybe you're right when you say I'm strong, but maybe my strength isn't enough to make me walk again." Ethan stayed silent for a moment. Then he sat on the grass beside the chair. "Want me to tell you something about my dad?" Robert nodded yes. "When he left, he promised he'd come back, said he just needed to sort some things out and that we'd be together again soon. I believed him." The boy played with the grass as he spoke. "I waited a long time. Every day I'd look out the window thinking I'd see him coming. My mom tried to explain he wasn't coming back, but I wouldn't listen. And then, one day I realized he really wasn't coming back, and it almost destroyed me. I stopped playing, stopped studying properly, stopped smiling." Robert felt his heart tighten. "But you know what saved me? Realizing I still had my mom, and that if I gave up on being happy, she'd suffer with me. So I decided I'd be strong for both of us." Ethan looked directly at Robert. "You might not walk again. Maybe I'm wrong. But if you give up trying, your wife will suffer watching you give up on life." The boy's words touched something deep in the professor. He looked at Linda, who was sitting on a nearby bench, and saw hope in her eyes. "You're right, Ethan. I can't give up. So shall we continue?" "Let's continue." The exercises resumed with renewed energy. Ethan brought new challenges, always respecting Robert's limits, but pushing him to try a little more each day. 3 weeks later, something extraordinary happened. During a knee flexion exercise, Robert managed to bend his right leg consciously and with control. "Linda! Linda, come see!" he shouted. His wife ran over and could hardly believe what she saw. Her husband repeated the movement several times, each time with more confidence. "My God, Robert, you did it!" "It was Ethan. He never let me give up." But the boy was serious. "It wasn't me, Professor. You did this. I just believed you could." The news spread quickly through the neighborhood. The same people who had criticized now came to congratulate him. Dr. William asked to examine Robert and was impressed with the improvement. Honestly, I can't explain how this happened. Maybe the human mind is more powerful than we understand, he admitted. But the joy was interrupted when a letter arrived for Robert. No sender, just a local address on the envelope. When he opened it, his hands shook. "Daddy, I saw you in the park. I know you're trying to walk again. I'm living at 342 Maple Street. But I don't know if you'll want to see me after what I did. Emily?" The impact of the letter was immediate. Robert began to cry, mixing joy and pain. "She's here, Linda. Our daughter is here in the neighborhood. Why didn't she come looking for us before? I don't know. The letter seems like she's afraid of something." That same afternoon, Linda went to the indicated address. It was a simple house in a public housing complex. When she knocked, a young woman answered. It was Emily, but very different from the girl who had left 2 years earlier. "Mum," Emily could barely speak. "Sweetheart." They embraced and cried for long minutes at the doorstep. "Why did you leave, Emily? Why didn't you let us know?" "Because I got into a very complicated situation, Mum. I dated a guy who had problems with dangerous people. When I found out they might hurt you, I ran away. But honey, we could have found a solution together. I was so scared and so ashamed too." Emily looked inside the house. "There's something you need to know, Mom. I have a son." Linda's world stopped. "A grandson?" "He's a 1.5 years old. His name is Noah. I didn't say anything before because I didn't know how you'd react." Linda walked into the house and found a child playing on the living room floor. When he saw his grandmother, Noah smiled and reached out his little arms. "Hi, Grandma," he said with the typical spontaneity of children. Linda picked him up and felt her heart overflowing with love. "Why don't you come home, daughter?" "Because I'm still afraid he'll find me and hurt you." "Who is he?" "Tyler, Noah's father. He wasn't a good person, Mum. He was part of a group that didn't respect the law." Linda understood the situation. Her daughter had gotten involved with someone dangerous and needed to protect herself. "Sweetheart, you can't live in fear forever, and your father needs to meet his grandson." "How is he?" "Better, much better. There's a boy helping him walk again." "Walk? Dad can't walk." Linda realized Emily didn't know about the depression that had taken hold of her father after she left. "He was devastated when you left, honey. He stopped walking, stopped wanting to live. But now he's getting better." Emily began to cry. "I ruined his life." "No, dear. You saved his life without knowing it. That boy helping your father, I think he came into our lives precisely because you needed to come back." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing, Linda returned home with a full heart, but worried about how to tell Robert everything. She found her husband doing exercises with Ethan in the backyard. "How did it go? Did you find her?" Robert asked anxiously. "I did, and we have a lot to talk about." Ethan sensed it was a family moment and got up to leave. "You can stay, Ethan. You're part of the family now," Linda said. She told them everything, Emily's fear, the dangerous ex-boyfriend, and especially about Noah. "A grandson," Robert repeated several times, as if he couldn't process the information. "He's beautiful, Robert. He has your eyes. I want to meet him. I want to meet my grandson. And Emily really wants to see you too, but she's afraid." "Afraid of what?" "Of how you'll react, that you won't forgive her for leaving." Robert looked at Ethan. "What do you think I should do?" "I think you should show her that a father's love is stronger than any hurt," the boy replied. "How do I do that?" "By going to her, walking to her." Ethan's suggestion was bold. Robert still couldn't walk long distances, but the idea of reaching his daughter on his own feet moved him deeply. "Do you think I can do it?" "I know you can." Over the next 3 days, Ethan intensified the exercises. He introduced new challenges, including balance and endurance training. Robert dedicated himself like never before. On the 3rd day, he managed to take 10 consecutive steps with the help of a cane. "Now you're ready," Ethan said proudly. "Ready for what?" "For what really matters. Ethan had planned everything. He'd spoken with his mother, Sarah, who knew Emily from the health clinic. Together, they arranged a meeting at the park. Emily will be there at 3 in the afternoon, Ethan explained, with Noah. What if she changes her mind? What if she doesn't show up? She will. I talked to her. You talked to my daughter. I did. I told her your father was being very brave and that she should be brave too. Robert smiled. That boy never ceased to amaze him. At the appointed time, Robert was at the park, sitting in his wheelchair but holding his cane. Linda stood beside him, nervous. Ethan arrived first, accompanied by a young woman holding a child. Robert's heart nearly stopped when he recognized Emily. She approached slowly, clearly emotional and nervous. Daddy? Emily? I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry for leaving like that. Robert got up from his chair, leaning on his cane. Emily held her breath. Sweetheart, you have nothing to apologize for. With shaky but determined steps, he walked toward her. Each step was a declaration of love and forgiveness. When he finally got close enough, he hugged his daughter tightly. I love you, Emily. I've always loved you, and nothing you've done has changed that. Dad, I was so scared. You don't have to be scared of anything anymore. We're together now. Noah, in his mother's arms, looked curiously at his grandfather. This is Grandpa Noah, said Emily. The child stretched his little arms toward Robert, who picked him up while still holding the cane with one hand. Hi, Grandpa, said Noah. Hi, my beautiful grandson. Ethan watched the scene with tears in his eyes. Sarah, his mother, had arrived and was also moved. You did something beautiful, son, she whispered. We did it, Mom. Me, Mr. Robert, Mrs. Linda, and even Noah without knowing. But the joy was interrupted when a man approached the group. Emily immediately tensed up. Tyler, she whispered. The man was tall, strong, and had an unfriendly expression. Emily, we need to talk, he said. We have nothing to talk about, Tyler. Yes, we do, about my son. Robert sensed the tension in the air and instinctively stepped between Tyler and Emily, even while leaning on his cane. Who are you? Asked Tyler, looking defiantly at the professor. I'm Emily's father, and Noah's grandfather. Oh, so you're the old man she always talked about. Thought you couldn't walk. I can do many things when it comes to protecting my family. The situation was growing tense when Ethan stepped in front of everyone. You're not welcome here, the boy said, staring straight at Tyler. Trying to act tough, kid? I don't have to. I just need to tell the truth. You made Emily afraid, made her hide from her family. People who do that don't deserve to be near the ones we love. Ethan's words, spoken with impressive conviction for a child, left Tyler embarrassed. He looked around and saw other people in the park watching the scene. This isn't over, he told Emily before walking away. Emily was trembling. Dad, maybe it's better if I leave again. He won't leave us alone. No, sweetheart. You're not running away again. We'll find a solution together. Ethan stepped closer. My mom works at the health clinic. She knows people who can help in situations like this. Sarah nodded. I do. There's a support group for women going through things like this. They know how to handle these situations. In the following days, Emily moved back into her parents' house. With Sarah and the support group's help, she got a restraining order against Tyler. Robert kept making progress with his exercises. Having his daughter and grandson at home gave him even more motivation. Ethan visited daily, now not just as a therapist but as part of the family. You know, Ethan, Robert said one afternoon, you saved much more than my legs. You saved my family. I didn't save anything, Professor. I just helped you remember you were never broken, just hurt. 2 weeks later, something unexpected happened. Noah, playing in the backyard, tripped and fell. Ethan rushed to help him, but Robert was faster. Without thinking, the professor stood up from his chair and ran to his grandson without using his cane. Only after picking Noah up and comforting him did he realize what he'd done. My God, said Linda. You ran, Robert. I ran? Ethan jumped for joy. You ran, you really ran. Robert set Noah down and tried to repeat the movement. He took a few normal steps, then sped up. He was running, even if slowly. I did it. I did it. The whole family hugged. Noah clapped his hands, thinking it was a game. "Now you're truly healed, sir," said Ethan. "No, Ethan, now I understand I was never sick. I just had a broken heart, and you all helped me put it back together." Emily, seeing her father walk normally, began to cry. "Dad, I ruined 2 years of your life." "Daughter, you didn't ruin anything. You gave me the chance to learn that family love can do anything." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The family's life returned to normal, but a much better normal than before. Robert resumed some activities as a private physical education teacher, specializing in helping people with mobility issues. Ethan became his official assistant, helping other elderly neighbors with simple but effective exercises. Emily got a job at a nearby school, working as an administrative assistant. Noah grew up surrounded by love and attention, but peace was disturbed again when Tyler reappeared. This time, he was different, calmer, seemingly remorseful. "Emily, I came to apologize," he said, meeting her outside the school. "Tyler, you can't be here. There's a restraining order." "I know, but I've changed, Emily. I left that group, got an honest job. I want to be a better father to Noah." Emily was confused. Part of her wanted to believe people could change, but another part was afraid. "I need to talk to my family about this." "That's fine. I'll wait as long as necessary. I just want you to know I've changed." At home, the conversation was tense. Robert was suspicious, Linda worried, but Ethan surprisingly defended giving Tyler a chance. "Why do you think we should trust him?" asked Robert. "Because everyone deserves a second chance. You taught me that yourself." "How so?" "When you gave up on walking, I could have given up on you, but I gave you a chance and it worked." The boy's wisdom once again impressed everyone. "But what if he's lying?" asked Emily. "Then we'll find out and take the necessary steps. But what if he's telling the truth and we don't give him the chance?" After much discussion, they decided to allow Tyler to visit Noah once a week, always with the family present. The first visits were tense. Tyler seemed genuinely remorseful and made sure to show respect to everyone. He brought documents proving he'd left the group he was part of and gotten a job at an auto repair shop. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness," he said during one visit, "but I want to try to be the father Noah deserves." Noah, meanwhile, was confused by his biological father's presence. He was used to his grandfather's affection and Ethan's attention, who had practically become an older brother. "Grandpa, is that man my dad?" Noah asked one day. "Yes, my little one, he's your father by blood. But family is more than blood. It's who cares for us with love." "So Ethan is my family too?" "Of course he is." The situation got complicated when Tyler started asking to take Noah out alone. "I won't do anything wrong. I just want some time with my son." Emily was torn. She saw Tyler really seemed changed, but fear was still there. "Let me talk to him," Ethan suggested. "You?" asked Emily. "Yeah, kids talk to kids. Maybe Noah will tell me how he feels about his dad." Ethan talked to Noah while playing in the backyard. "What do you think about your dad, Noah?" "He's nice. But sometimes I get a little scared." "Scared of what?" "I don't know. He gets very serious when he talks to me." Ethan understood the problem. Tyler was trying so hard to be a good father that he was being too formal with his own son. "How about if I teach him how to play with you?" "You'd do that?" Of course, every father needs to learn how to play with his son. At their next meeting, Ethan did something unexpected. He suggested that Tyler join the exercises he did with Robert. "Why would I do that?" Tyler asked. "Because then you'll understand how our family works, and Noah will see that you're part of the team." Tyler agreed, though a little awkwardly. Ethan taught him the basic exercises, and little by little, Tyler started to loosen up. "This boy is special," he commented to Emily. "He has a way of making people feel accepted." "Ethan changed our lives," Emily replied. "He taught my father to walk again, taught me how to come home, and now he's teaching you how to be a father. Do you think I can do it? I think if you really want to, you will." Months passed. Tyler proved his change through consistent actions. He found a simple but decent home, kept his job, and gradually earned the family's trust. Ethan remained the bond that kept everyone together. His ability to see the good in people and his determination to help others inspired everyone. One day, Sarah, Ethan's mother, received unexpected news. Her ex-husband, Ethan's father, had sent a letter asking to talk. "He wants to come back, Ethan," she said nervously. "How do you feel about that, Mom?" "I don't know. I'm afraid of getting hurt again, and I'm afraid you'll get hurt too." Ethan grew thoughtful. It was different helping other families and facing his own ghosts. "Mum, we always teach others that everyone deserves a second chance. Maybe it's time we give Dad one too." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure you're strong enough for anything, and I'll always be by your side." Sarah decided to meet her ex-husband. Ethan wanted to go with her and she agreed. The meeting took place in a public square. Jason, Ethan's father, was visibly nervous. He had lost weight and seemed more mature. "Sarah, I know I have no right to ask for anything, but I wanted you to know I regret abandoning you both." "Why did you leave, Jason?" "Because I was a coward. I was afraid of responsibility, afraid I couldn't be a good father and husband. So I ran. And now I understand that running only made everything worse. I missed years of my son's life. I lost the woman I loved." Ethan listened in silence. Then he approached his father. "Do you really want to come back?" "I do, son. More than anything in the world." "Then you'll have to prove it. Not with words, but with actions." "How?" "Start slow. Visit us. Show you've really changed." Jason agreed. Just like Tyler, he would have to earn the family's trust gradually. The similarity between the situations didn't escape Robert. "Life has its ironies," he remarked to Linda. "Ethan helped our family come together, and now he's helping his own family do the same." "That boy has a special heart," Linda replied. "It's not just his heart, it's his courage. He has the courage to believe in people when everyone else gives up." Jason's process of reconnecting was slow but steady. He got a job at a construction company and rented a small house near Sarah and Ethan. "I won't ask you to come back to me," he said in a conversation with the family. "I'll try to deserve you wanting to come back." Ethan was impressed by his father's humility. It was a far cry from the arrogant man who had abandoned them years before. During this time, Robert made an important discovery. He found an old photo album and saw a picture of himself as a young teacher. In the photo, he was helping a boy with motor difficulties take his first steps. "Linda, look at this." He showed the photo to his wife. "How beautiful, Robert. You've always been a special teacher." "That's not it. Look closely at the boy in the picture." Linda looked more carefully and was surprised. "Is that Ethan?" "No, but he looks just like him. And you know what's even more amazing? I remember this boy. He had the same determination as Ethan, the same courage." "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking that maybe I planted a seed a long time ago, and Ethan is the fruit of that seed." "What do you mean?" "The boy in the photo is named Michael. I helped him walk when he was 6. Today he's a physical therapist. And do you know who his wife is?" "Who?" "Sarah, Ethan's mother." The revelation was astonishing. Robert had helped Ethan's father years before, and now Ethan was helping him. It was as if life had created a perfect cycle of gratitude and love. "That's why Ethan knew so much about physical therapy exercises," Linda exclaimed. "And that's why he was so sure I could walk again. He grew up hearing stories about how physical education can change lives." Robert decided to share the discovery with Ethan and Sarah. "Mum, is Michael my dad?" Ethan asked, surprised. "Yes, son. Michael is your father's real name. Jason is just a name he adopted when he lost his way in life. And Mr. Robert helped my dad walk." "He did much more than that," Sarah said. "He helped him believe in himself. That's why your father became a physical therapist. He wanted to help others the way Professor Robert helped him." Ethan was moved as he understood the connection. "So when I helped you, I was actually returning a favor you gave my family long ago." "No, Ethan," Robert replied. "When you helped me, you were creating a new story. You weren't paying a debt. You were planting a new seed." The revelation added a new dimension to the relationship between the families. Michael Jason was emotional when he learned his son had helped the very teacher who changed his life. "Professor Robert, I owe everything to you," he said, tears in his eyes. "You owe me nothing, Michael, but you owe a lot to your son. He's far better than I ever was." It's true, Ethan has a heart that took me years to develop. The process of reconciliation between the families continued. Michael proved his change through consistent actions. Sarah gradually allowed a closer reconnection. Tyler also kept striving to be a good father to Noah. Visits became more frequent and natural. A year after their first meeting in the park, the two families gathered to celebrate Noah's birthday. "Grandpa, tell the story of how you learned to walk again," Noah asked. "That story begins with a very brave boy," Robert said, looking at Ethan. "Who never stopped believing in you," Ethan added. "And it ends with the greatest lesson I've ever learned," Robert continued. "What lesson, Grandpa?" "That sometimes we don't need medicine or machines to heal. Sometimes we just need someone who believes in us more than we believe in ourselves." Noah clapped, even if he didn't fully understand the meaning of the words. "Ethan," Robert said, "do you want to know what the most important day of my life was?" "What was it?" "The day you told me I was strong enough. Because on that day, I learned that strength wasn't in my legs. It was in the love I received and the love I could give. And today, do you still feel strong?" Robert looked around. He saw his wife smiling, his daughter safe and happy, his grandson playing, Ethan, who had become like a son, Sarah, who was like a sister, Michael, who had become a friend, and even Tyler, who was trying to be a better person. "Today I feel stronger than ever, because I learned that true strength isn't about being able to walk. It's about helping others walk with you." The party went on late into the night. The children played in the yard while the adults talked and planned for the future. "You know what I think?" Ethan said to Robert during a break in the party. "What?" "I think you always knew how to walk. You just forgot for a while, and I just helped you remember." "And what about you, Ethan? When did you learn to be so wise?" "When I realized everyone gets lost sometimes, even adults, and sometimes a child can help an adult find their way back." "Will you keep helping others?" "I will, but not alone anymore. Now I have a whole family to help me." Robert smiled. That child had changed not just his life, but the lives of everyone around him. 2 years had passed since that first meeting in the park. Robert now walked normally and had opened a small community gym in the neighborhood, specializing in helping people with mobility issues. Ethan, now 10 years old, was his official assistant and already helped other seniors rediscover their inner strength. Emily and Tyler had reconciled and planned to marry again, but this time with a solid foundation of mutual respect and mature love. Michael and Sarah had also rekindled their relationship and worked together at Robert's gym, combining professional physical therapy with the emotional method developed by Ethan. Noah grew up surrounded by love and examples of resilience. He already showed signs of inheriting Ethan's special gift for helping others. On a Sunday afternoon, the families gathered in the same park where it all began. Robert pushed Noah on the swing, while Ethan taught exercises to a new group of seniors that had formed in the community. "Professor," said Mrs. Evelyn, a 78-year-old woman who had recently joined the group, "that boy has a special light. Where did he get so much wisdom?" "He got it from the same place we all can," Robert replied. "From love. When we truly love, we find the strength to do things we never thought possible. And how do we learn to love like that? We don't learn, we remember. We're all born knowing how to love like that. We just forget sometimes." Mrs. Evelyn grew thoughtful. "And who helps us remember?" Robert looked at Ethan, who was patiently helping Mr. George take his first steps after a stroke. "Sometimes it's our children, sometimes it's our grandchildren, and sometimes it's children we don't even know, but who come into our lives right when we need them most." "Like Ethan came into yours?" "Exactly. He appeared when I needed most to believe I could still be useful, that I could still love and be loved." The sun began to set, painting the sky in golden hues. The families were getting ready to head home when Ethan approached Robert. "Professor, can I ask you something?" "Of course, go ahead." "Do you think we met by chance?" Robert thought for a moment. "No, Ethan, I think some people are meant to meet. No matter when or where, they'll always find each other because they have something important to do together. And what did we have to do together? Prove that love is stronger than fear, that hope is stronger than despair, and that sometimes an 8-year-old boy can save a 65-year-old man. I didn't save you, Ethan said seriously. No? No. We saved each other. Robert smiled and placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. You're right. As always, while walking home, Ethan ran ahead, followed by Noah. Robert watched the two playing and felt his heart fill with gratitude. Linda approached and took her husband's arm. What are you thinking about? I'm thinking that today marks exactly 2 years since Ethan told me I was strong enough. And do you think he was right? I think he was more right than I deserved. And I think I'm still learning just how strong I am. What's the most important thing you've learned in these 2 years? Robert stopped walking and looked at his extended family. Emily pregnant with their second child, Tyler carrying Noah in his arms, Ethan teaching the little one a new game, Michael and Sarah holding hands and Linda by his side, as she always had been. I learned that being strong isn't about never falling. It's about always getting back up, and that sometimes we need help to get back up, and that there's nothing wrong with needing help. What else? I learned that angels exist, but they don't have wings. They have big hearts and never give up on us, even when we give up on ourselves. Linda looked at Ethan, who was helping Noah climb a small tree. Our little angel in the red shirt. Our little angel who taught me I was strong enough. They resumed their walk home. Behind them, the park stood empty, but filled with memories of transformation and love. In the Johnson family's home, life continued with the comforting routine of those who've learned to cherish every moment. Family dinners, backyard games, exercises in the park, and always Ethan nearby, bringing his contagious energy and wise beyond his years' insight. That night at bedtime, Noah asked Ethan to tell him a story. Tell the story about the grandpa who couldn't walk, the boy requested. You already know that story by heart, Ethan replied, but I like it, and I want you to tell it the way you tell it. Ethan settled into bed beside Noah. Once upon a time, there was a very strong professor who forgot he was strong. Why did he forget? Noah interrupted, even though he knew the answer. Because his heart was very sad, and when your heart gets too sad, you forget a lot of important things. Then what? Then a very brave boy came along and reminded the professor how strong he was. Was the boy you? The boy was me. But the truth is, the professor taught me how to be brave. How? Because he showed me it's worth believing in people, even when they don't believe in themselves. Noah yawned. Ethan, do you think I'll be able to help someone when I grow up? You already do, Noah. You help every day. How? By making everyone smile, by reminding us what's important, by being yourself. And when I'm big like you, when you're big like me, you'll help even more people, because you're learning from a young age that love is the most important thing in the world. Noah fell asleep with a smile on his face. Ethan tucked him in tenderly and went to his own room. Sarah was waiting for him for their usual prayer. Mum, can I ask you something? Of course, son. Why did I want to help Professor Robert? What do you think? I think it's because he reminded me of my dad when I was little. How so? When Dad left, he had the same sad look in his eyes as Professor Robert did, and I always wanted to help Dad not be sad. And you did help. I did, but in a different way than I imagined. How? I thought I could make Dad come back, but what I really got was something better. I made our family grow. Sarah kissed her son's forehead. You're a very special boy, Ethan. I'm not special, Mom. I just pay attention to people and try to help when I can. And you'll keep doing that? I will. Because I learned that when we help someone, we help ourselves too. How? When I helped Professor Robert walk, I learned that I could do important things. When he was happy, I was happy too. And when his family got together, I understood that family is more than blood. What is it then? Family is those who don't give up on us, those who believe in us, those who are happy when we're happy, Sarah felt her eyes well up. So our family is pretty big, huh? It's huge, Mom. There's you, there's Dad, there's Professor Robert, Mrs. Linda, Emily, Tyler, Noah, and all the others we'll still meet and help. That night, every house in the neighborhood held people who had been touched by the story of love and perseverance that began with a boy in a red shirt and his unshakable faith in the strength of the human heart. In the next room, Robert and Linda talked before bed. Robert, do you regret anything that happened these past 2 years? I regret taking so long to accept Ethan's help. Why? Because I could have spent more time being happy with our family together. But maybe things happened at the right time. Maybe you needed to go through all that to appreciate what you have now. Maybe. But one thing I know for sure. What? That boy changed our lives forever, and if he ever needs anything, we'll be here for him. Always, Linda agreed. You know what I admire most about Ethan? What? His ability to see possibilities where everyone else sees problems. When he found me, everyone saw a sad old man in a wheelchair. He saw a strong teacher who just needed to remember his own strength. And with our family, the same thing. When our family was apart, everyone saw an impossible situation. He saw people who loved each other and just needed a little courage to find their way back. Ethan sees with his heart. Exactly, and he taught us to do the same. In Michael and Sarah's house, father and son also talked. Dad, can I ask you something? Of course, Ethan. Why did you leave when I was little? Michael took a deep breath. It was a question he knew would come one day. Because I was afraid, son. Afraid of what? Afraid I couldn't be a good father. Afraid of disappointing you and your mum. Afraid I wouldn't have enough money to give you a good life. And are you still afraid now? Yes. But I learned that everyone's afraid of something. The difference is, now I don't let fear control me. How do you do that? By remembering that love is stronger than fear. And when we truly love, we find the courage to face anything. Did you teach me that? No, son. You taught me, seeing how you helped Professor Robert, how you never gave up on our family. I learned that being brave isn't about not being afraid. It's about being afraid and still doing what's right. And what's right? Staying close to the ones we love. Not running from problems, trying to be a better person every day. Do you think I really helped Professor Robert? I'm sure you did. But you know what's most amazing? What? You helped him the same way he helped me when I was a kid. How? By believing. When I was little and couldn't walk right, Professor Robert believed I could. When he was sad and couldn't walk, you believed he could. So we passed the help forward? That's right, and now you can pass it on to others too. I will, Dad. Whenever I meet someone who needs help, I'll remember Professor Robert's story. And what's the most important lesson from that story? Ethan thought for a moment. That everyone is strong enough. Sometimes people just forget that, and we can help them remember. 3 months later, Ethan was at the park when he saw something that reminded him of his first meeting with Robert. An elderly woman was sitting on a bench, crying alone. Without hesitation, the boy approached her. Are you okay, Mum? The woman looked at him, surprised. Yes, dear, just a little sad. Can I ask why? My grandson moved to another city with his parents. Now I don't have anyone to visit me anymore. Ethan sat beside her. What's your name? Margaret. And yours? Ethan. Mrs. Margaret, do you have other friends here in the neighborhood? No, dear. I'm a bit alone. Would you like to meet my family? We always have room for one more at the table. Margaret was moved by the boy's kindness. You do that for a stranger. You're not a stranger, you're just someone I didn't know well yet. Ethan took Margaret to meet the Johnson family. In no time, she became a constant presence in their home, helping Linda in the kitchen and telling stories to Noah. How did you know she needed our help? Robert asked Ethan. The same way I knew you did. She had the same look of someone who'd lost hope. And will you always try to help people like that? Whenever I can, because I've learned that when we help someone find hope, we find hope too. And what if one day you meet someone who doesn't want help? Then I'll respect that, but I'll keep believing in them. Sometimes it takes time for people to accept help, like it took time for you. You're right. I resisted at first, but in the end, you accepted, and it was good for all of us. A year later, Robert's small community gym had become a reference in the area. People came from other neighborhoods to join support groups that combined physical exercise with emotional care. Ethan, now 11, had become something of a mascot for the place. His ability to connect with people of all ages was remarkable. "Professor Robert," said Mrs. Barbara, a new student in the group, "that boy has a special gift. He makes us believe in ourselves." "He's always had that gift," Robert replied, "since he was little." "How did he learn it?" "I don't think anyone taught him. I think he was born knowing. Some people are just like that. His family is lucky. So are we, because he taught us that family isn't just who lives under the same roof. It's who truly cares about us." Mrs. Barbara grew thoughtful. "My children live far away. Sometimes I feel very alone." "Then you've come to the right place. Here you'll find a new family, as big as your heart can hold." And it was true. Robert's gym had become much more than a place to exercise. It was a gathering spot for people who needed to rediscover they weren't alone in the world. Every morning, Ethan arrived before classes started and helped set up. He organized materials, greeted people as they came in, and always had a word of encouragement for those going through hard times. "Ethan," Robert said one morning, "do you remember what you told me the first day we met?" "I do. I said you were strong enough. And do you still believe that?" "I believe it even more because now I see you helping others discover they're strong enough too." "And you? Do you think you're strong enough?" Ethan smiled. "I've learned we never stop discovering how strong we are. Every person we help, we find new strength in ourselves. And what strength did you find by helping me?" "I found out I can make a difference in people's lives, and that makes me really happy." "Will you keep making a difference?" "I will. Forever. Because I learned that this is my place in the world." "What place?" "Helping people remember they are loved, that they matter, that they're strong enough for anything." Robert looked at the boy with pride. That child had grown into a wise young man, but kept the purity and determination that had made him special from the start. "Ethan, you want to know something?" "What?" "The day you told me I was strong enough, I thought you were crazy." "I know. I saw it on your face. But today I understand you weren't telling me I was strong. You were teaching me what it means to be strong." "How so?" "Being strong isn't about never needing help. Being strong is accepting help when you need it. Being strong isn't about never falling. Being strong is always getting back up. Being strong isn't about having no fear. Being strong is being afraid and still doing what's right." "And what's the strongest thing you've ever done?" Robert looked around the gym, saw all the people there helping each other, saw Ethan teaching exercises to a new student, saw Linda talking to an elderly woman who was crying. "The strongest thing I ever did was accept that an 8-year-old boy could teach me about life. And the second strongest, it was learning that when we help others, we heal too. And the third, it was realizing that family is everyone who never gives up on us, and that true love always finds a way to win." Ethan smiled and hugged Robert. "Thank you for letting me help you. Thank you for never giving up on me. I'll never give up. Not on you, not on our family, not on anyone who needs help." "Why?" "Because I learned we're not in this world just to be happy. We're here to make others happy too. And when everyone's happy, everyone grows stronger." End of story. Now tell us what you thought of this story of resilience and hope. Do you believe a family's love can truly heal heartache, and that sometimes children can teach adults about real strength? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like if this story touched your heart, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other uplifting stories that bring hope and prove love always wins.